think the filmmaker is a special job. You really have to learn how to tell story. That's from the literature, that's from the music, that's from the play.
For film, the experience of going into the theater and watch it on the big screen is something very unique. Taiwan actually is the most liberal places for filmmakers in the Mandarin-speaking world.
We always want to communicate with audience, meaning you have to entertain them, you have to convince them to come to embrace or come to the cinema.
Hello and welcome to Connected. I'm Divya Gopalan. Let's start with a bit of trivia. Why is Taiwan's premier film festival called the Golden Horse? Well, it's a bit of a tough one, especially if you don't live in Taiwan, so I'm going to give you the answer. The Mandarin name, Jin Ma Jiang, is a combination of the first characters of military outposts Jinmen and Matsu. Those are a group of islands in Taiwan, geographically closest to China. Now, when these awards were first launched 60 years ago, yes, it's the 60th anniversary, it was a government-sponsored competition aimed at promoting domestic film. And over the decades, it's grown into one of the most prestigious honors in the Mandarin-speaking film world. To talk about the evolution of the Golden Horse and the state of movies in Taiwan and the region, we are joined by Tiffany Yu-chia Chen, the co-founder of Each Other Films, and also in Taipei, Patrick Huang, founder and CEO of Flash Forward Entertainment. Thank you both so much for being part of the program. But before we get into this discussion, I want to give you some of the highlights from this year's awards.
想跟他还有跟小小一样特别的人说，继续加油，保持善良，然后事情会越来越好的。
拥抱一下。谢谢今晚最温馨的画面，哈斗哈斗，恭喜！再次恭喜石门拿下今晚的最大奖。
So that's a slice of the big night. Tiffany, what do you think are the key takeaways from this year's Golden Horse? What jumped out at you?
I do feel like it's the 60th anniversary of the Golden Horse Award, and this year's outcome actually demonstrated that, and also a great showcase of how diverse of all Mandarin-speaking film could be, and how Golden Horse is taking its responsibility to honor all these diversity.
And Patrick, you were at the event, you were there on the night. Was there anything in particular that struck you about this year's Golden Horse Awards?
Yes. First of all, as you could see from the video, that's historically, the youngest, the best actress ever is 12 years old, and then presented by 5 past, Golden Horse Best Actress. So exciting, so wonderful. And also, you can see the best actor actually is a Taiwanese, but he played a Malaysian man. And then so it shows, diversity and the collaboration among all the Chinese-speaking territory for Golden Horse.
And Patrick, I understand that you also got an award for a screenplay still in production, I believe. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yes, as part of a Golden Horse program, it's called Project Market. They call it film project promotion. Sorry, yeah. So it's called FPP, and it's a project market. And I have a project. It's called Peers. It's Singapore, Taiwan, the Poland co-production, and then we got an award for the work in progress section. We won the Taipei Horizon Screenplay Award with cash.
Always good to have a bit of cash to keep those movies going. Sounds like a fantastic collaboration. Now, Tiffany, I believe you didn't have a submission for this year's awards, but you did win in 2020 for a film called Little Big Women. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, it's actually the first feature, the debut feature for a first-time director. It's also the debut feature for our company, Each Other Films. It's called Little Big Woman. It won the Golden Horse Award for Best Leading Actress. Actually, the leading actress is one of the presenter for this year's Best Actress Award. So yeah, we had a fantastic year back in 2020. And actually, the award helps the box office for the film Little Big Woman and help it to become the top grossed domestic film in box office that year.
It must have been lovely to see one of your actresses up on stage there. You spoke about the box office impact. Can you tell us a bit more about what the impact of getting recognition from the Golden Horse internationally, not just in Taiwan?
I do think because back then it was during COVID, so Little Big Woman doesn't have a lot of opportunity to attend a lot of the film festivals. We actually got selected into the Hong Kong International Film Festival, Busan Film Festival, and Tokyo. But because it's during COVID, so it's kind of difficult to invite all the filmmakers to be at the venue in Hong Kong, Busan, or Tokyo, but winning the Golden Horse Award actually helped us more domestically in box office, but it also helped us to get recognized by an international streaming platform. And so now Little Big Woman is on Netflix worldwide.
Great to know. So Patrick, what are your thoughts on the impact of Golden Horse and what it does to help Taiwan movies or movies featured there internationally?
I think the Golden Horse has the longest history among all the Chinese-speaking film competition, and it does has a lot of influence, for mainland China, Southeast Asia, and also even for some of the the audience or producer in Europe as well. As you could see, right now this year, including myself, we have a lot of collaboration between Singapore, Malaysia, and Taiwan. And why is that? Because they all, learn from Golden Horse when they were young. When they grow up, when they become the filmmaker, they say, okay, great, we watch all the Taiwanese film, the award-winning, the Golden Horse award-winning Taiwanese film. We want to learn from that. We want to work with them. So I think also from China, as if you know, for the Golden Horse, a lot of Chinese filmmakers actually pay attention, to the process of ceremony. They're very excited, and then we all want to work together. And then so I think the Golden Horse indicate a very strong force, for the collaboration, and also we really want to be part of the glory.
I want to bring your attention to a movie that's caused quite a stir and got a lot of attention at this year's Golden Horse. Now, we know that films play a crucial role in shaping social discourse. And this perhaps is nowhere more apparent than in the case of Marry My Dead Body, which not only clinched the Best Adapted Screenplay Award, but also earned 7 other nominations at this year's Golden Horse. Here's the film's director, Cheng Wei-hao.
The movie covers many social issues, but it is packaged as a genre which uses a comedy to discuss serious topics. And the movie content represents Taiwan's contemporary significance. After the law was passed officially in Taiwan in 2019, Taiwan became the first region in Asia to pass same-sex marriage. And the movie strives to present the value of the gay marriage and the love after this event. This might be the reasons why the movie stands out.
Tiffany, Marry My Dead Body is said to be Taiwan's Oscars entry for this year. Does it reflect the filmmaking scene in Taiwan today?
I think, first of all, I'm really happy that My Dead Body get to represent Taiwan to the Oscar run this year. And I do think, as what Wei Hao mentioned earlier in his video, this film is a very great demonstration of the contemporary Taiwan society nowadays, especially for our welcomeness to LGBTQ community. And it's also a great combination of the local cultural scene, such as like if you collect a red envelope on the street, sometimes it means like get to marry a ghost. Wei Hao did a great job combining this very traditional local culture with a very contemporary social issues nowadays in Taiwan.
Patrick, when you think of making a movie here in Taiwan, what is it that kind of grabs you? Is it about the social issues and putting that on a platform, or is it more about entertaining the audience?
I think it will be the both. It's a combination of the social context, because we live in the society and we feel that we have to face that, this part of our life. But at the same time, we always want to communicate with audience, meaning you have to entertain them, you have to convince them to come to embrace or come to the cinema. So I think, as a producer, it's our job, it's also our challenge, how to combine these two elements together.
And so speaking of coming to the cinemas, one of the things that streaming platforms has done is not necessarily make people go to the cinemas anymore. You can watch movies from the comfort of your home. How much do you think streaming platforms has helped movies, particularly in Taiwan, to travel, to become international?
Certainly, I think right now in the platform we could see content, movies, drama series from all over the world, not just Korea, but you could see content from Poland, from India, South America, everywhere. And then the same thing, Taiwanese content could also be shown and promoted all over the world. I think it's a good thing, right? Because a lot of very good film including the Little Big Women, also travel around the world, but at the same time, because the audience now used to stay home, watching television or watching even their mobile, and they spend less time on the cinema. So I think right now is our challenge is how to bring the audience back to cinema. We have to provide a very unique experience, so they have to come to cinema as an event, as something they really need to do. Go to the, go with a friend to the place, so they could watch the content together.
Tiffany, was there any conflict within you? And I know it's great to have Little Big Women on Netflix and have it been seen around the world in that platform, but was there a little bit of conflict knowing that it's most likely going to be seen on a phone or a small screen rather than people going into the cinema and having that shared experience?
For film, this particular project, the experience of going into the theater and watch it on the big screen is something very unique. But in this time of the right now, it's very difficult to caught people's attention and especially ask them to spend 2 to 3 hours of their busy life to visit the theater. So I do think how to find a topic and package it with something that's unique and attractive to the audience and make sure that they are willing to spend 3 hours on your film during the first 2 weekend at theater. I do think that's something that we as a film producer that's been thinking very often, like what has the relevancy and urgency for audience to watch your film this weekend.
Isn't that such a shame that I remember growing up, and now I'm dating myself, how going to the cinema was such a treat. It was such an event you looked forward to when a movie was coming out. That was something that you all would be talking about, and it would be a time to spend with your friends or family or do something together. So Patrick, my question to you, given that you've seen generations of filmmakers and the way films have evolved in how people watch. Is there a difference, you think, in the younger filmmakers now in the way they treat movies? Is there a thought now that it's more likely to be on smaller screens or more accessible? Do you feel there's a change in movies are being made?
I think I would say for the last 5 to 10 years, Taiwanese young filmmakers are very much aware of, how to communicate with audience in a small screen. So they have a lot of opportunity to do the drama series, and then with multiple episodes, which is quite different from the feature filmmaking. And then now they are learning to tell the story with, let's say, 8 to 10 episodes, with a longer or bigger cast, and then also and then to deliver the story, in the living room. And I think, something they are learning from that, and which is very different from, bringing the audience to the cinema. And then on the other hand, I think right now, because the drama series and also like the TV content, they are learning more how to tell the story in an efficient way, and also in the genre way. Meaning what? Meaning, they really have to click with audience quickly, within 1 minute, 2 minutes, instead of bringing the audience to a cinema in the dark room. Now you cannot leave. You have to stay with me for another 30 minutes before you learning the plot, before learning the character. It's quite a different experience. And I think that it's good and bad. The good thing is, now I think the young filmmakers are very close with the audience. But the bad thing is, don't forget, we still have to pursue the aesthetics of the cinema, and which you use the language, cinematic language, to tell the narrative, tell the genre. And I think now the young filmmakers in Taiwan are sort of caught in between, and hopefully we will do both well, in two categories.
And speaking of young filmmakers, Tiffany, what do you think, aside from the fact now the mediums have changed of how people are watching movies, but for them to get into the movie and filmmaking industry, do you think the landscape's changed for them?
I do think for younger generations that are willing and have a hope to join the filmmaking industry, I do think nowadays it changes a lot. So 10 years ago, when I first graduated and I want to be part of the film industry, I think it's very difficult for someone like me who holds a bachelor degree in finance to find finance-related job in this industry. I think back then people are more keen to have people joining the industry to work, starting from working on set as a PA. So that was 10 years ago. And I do think nowadays the industry has opened up itself to people from different backgrounds, such as finance, like myself, or legal background. The industry is more welcome to people from different educational background. And I do think that's something it has been pushed forward for the industry to be more advanced and more connected to the international world, especially nowadays that we can see that the Korean film industry has evolved a lot from the past 20 years.
Patrick, when you're looking to crew up your film or your movies, do you expect your crew to go through the ranks, as Tiffany was saying back in her day, where they've got to start at a certain level and work their way up, or are you looking to find diversity in experiences?
I started, making film more than 20 years ago. And then at that time, you have two ways doing that. One is go to a film school to learn the technique. Hopefully, people could recognize your talent, or you just learn from doing that, learn from your master, and then from the assistant work your way up. I think that for the older generation, we have done that. But I think for right now, because everybody having a phone, having a computer, having access to the AI. So I think, to create content becomes something like a daily life. Before we are shooting on the 35 millimeter film stock, meaning it's very expensive. You can't have that every day. But right now you are taking 100 pictures, 500 pictures a day, which is adding content. So I think, to create content, to learn about the technique of create content is quite different nowadays. And then you can learn all the technique, from watching a YouTube video, learn everything from the internet. So I think, right now, we are full of content. But how to become the better filmmaker is another challenge right now, because you are going to fight with the amateur, because the amateur, is going to be looking quite great, with AI, with other technology as well. So in the end, we still have to think about, what kind of story you want to tell, what kind of genre, how you balance your aesthetic, element. And I think that's most important. I think the filmmaker is a special job. You really have to learn how to tell story. That's from the literature, that's from the music, that's from the play, and then the technology is just something help you. Yeah.
All right. Speaking of technology, I want to take you to a movie that did use its technological advances. That's Malaysia's Snow in Midsummer. That took home the award for Best Sound Effects. Now, this movie depicts one of the nation's most tragic events in 1969. And the director draws parallels with crackdowns during Taiwan's martial law period and talks about the importance of being able to speak openly about a country's brutal history. Reese Ayres has this report.
On May 13th, 1969, one of the most pivotal moments in modern Malaysian history unfolded on the streets of Kuala Lumpur. It was a bloody riot that left hundreds dead and the country in a state of emergency. The event, known today as the May 13 incident, lives on in the minds of many Malaysians, including film director Chong Keat-un.
我从小就其实都听到513事件，尤其我的奶奶小时候她都会说，如果你不回家的话呢，513会杀掉你。所以我们从小就活在一种恐惧当中。
The riots came days after the 1969 general election, when two mostly ethnically Chinese opposition parties made significant gains on the ruling Malay coalition. It sparked ethnic violence, which official figures say led to 196 deaths.
只要大选一到，种族的议题就随时随地会变成一种被讨论的一个课题，因为毕竟种族议题被讨论的话呢，然后政客就很容易把它当成是一个把柄。来让选民特别害怕你不得不投他不可。
The story of Snow in Midsummer follows a mother and daughter who lose contact with the rest of their family amid the riots, and the daughter's attempts to face her family's tragic past 5 decades later. Chong draws inspiration from traditional Chinese opera for much of the story, visuals, and even the film's title.
传统的这个戏曲叫《六月雪》它其实是来自元代的杂剧非常古老的一个剧本。那窦娥说：“我是被冤枉的。那如果你们不信的话，你把我头砍下之后呢，天上就会下雪。因为那时候是6月嘛，6月是夏天，怎么会下雪呢？结果真的，他头被砍了之后呢，天空就下起了雪。”当时候人家才知道原来窦娥是被冤枉的。其实以前的戏剧其实是通过戏曲来批评或者是对于当时候政治的一种不满。
More than a love letter to theatre and film, Chong wants his movie to be a wake-up call for Malaysia. Drawing comparisons to Taiwan's own dark history, he highlights the importance of governments learning from the past.
很多国家其实已经对历史事件的一种认可，他们才能够走得更远。打个比方，像台湾台湾对于228事件到现在大家已经可以谈论了，甚至是官方已经有一定的说法了。可是马来西亚依然对这段历史还是避而不谈的。
Snow in Midsummer is currently screening in cinemas in Taiwan. Justin Wu and Reese for TaiwanPlus.
So, Tiffany, I want to pick up on something the director said there, talking about Taiwan's openness and being able to talk about things that are even difficult or perhaps does not resonate well with, more conservative society. How do you think Taiwan can use this to put itself on the global filmmaking map?
I do think Taiwan actually is the most liberal places for filmmakers in the Mandarin-speaking world. You can tell any topic, you can tell anything you want to communicate with your audience as long as you have a good story. I do think one limitation that making a Taiwanese film is probably the budget and the market size we have. So I do think that's something the world should know. I do think if you want to make a unique film, Taiwan is the place that you don't need to be afraid of what the topic of the film is.
And Patrick, your take on this, like how can Taiwan use this advantage it has to make itself kind of known in the international filmmaking community as a place to be?
I think, the audience in the world are interested in, all kinds of a story. The story which could be taboo, could be something you are not aware of. And I think, in Taiwan, since we are pretty much open to all the story, there's no censorship, and then so I think, that's a good thing. We could really dive into all the aspects of our history, our life, and also all kinds of genre and present to the world. So it actually gives us a possibility to reach more audience internationally.
Great. We've run out of time, but I want to leave it with that thought. But before I go, a huge thank you to Tiffany Yu-chia Chen, co-founder of Each Other Films, and Patrick Huang, founder and CEO of Flash Forward Entertainment. Thank you both so much for being part of this program and being part of this very interesting discussion. And of course, to our viewers, if you've enjoyed today's episode or have anything else you'd like to add to the dialogue, join the conversation on our social media. And remember, stay informed, stay engaged, stay connected.